Hey everybody, this is Jada on piano, where we make music make sense. And today I'm going to talk about chord extensions. I think I've talked about it maybe very briefly before, but I'm going to go in depth. This is a free video. It's going to be on my YouTube channel where you're free to watch it multiple times, gain the understanding, and go out and use it. In this, we're going to talk about chord types. We're going to talk about chord context. We're going to talk about chord extensions, how to build them, how to use them, and also why chord books confuse you. You've probably seen, those chord books that you can get where you can see, thousands of chords and things like that. We're going to talk about all of those things. If you haven't already, but you think you even might like this, might learn even one thing, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and then you'll be able to catch all of the content that comes out when it's available. So I want to jump right in talking about chord extensions. First things first, like I said, we're going to talk about the chord types. Now let's go right in. Let's get in the key of C. We're going to go through a couple of other keys, but let's get in the key of C right off. Now, if you've seen any other video of mine, you know that I talk about the number system a lot. And there's a reason for that, because quite often using the number system will give you exactly what you need to know for playing, not just, a lot of people think it's simple, but not just playing simple things, but it actually gives you much more complicated theory than you expect. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and give you the numbers real quick. We might use a few of them later on down the line. We'll get it here though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1. Why is that important? When we get the numbers, we get the chords. Let's get the chords since we're talking about extensions. First, the triads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 1. Let me go ahead and get the sevenths in now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, there we go. 1. Now, if you are paying attention, if you know any other key, I'll jump to F just really quickly. If I do the same thing, you're going to see the same types of chords in this key. So 1, major 7, 1, major 7. 2, minor 7, 2, minor 7. See that? So let me keep going in F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. That's our chords in F. So every time you use the number system, you can instantly know what kind of chord you need just based on the number. A lot of people think you're guessing. No. A 1 is a major chord, and the major 7 is implied. Same in F. Sorry, I had the ninth in there. Same in A flat. Same in E flat. See that? It doesn't matter. Same in B. It does not matter the key. Okay. So that's chords. Now let me break down. Sorry about that. In the key of C, let's look at our chords. I'm gonna stay. Well, we're not in a key. That's the key we're going to be in a minute, but let's break it down using the single note of C and the different types of chords so we know what we've got. This was a triad. This was a C major triad. You see it just says C. Look at that. That's a C minor triad. Triad meaning 3 notes. Watch this. C diminished. That's a triad. Okay. C augmented, that's a triad. There's only 4 types of triads: major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Okay, so we've got those triads. But let me go to the 7th chord. This is where it kind of branches out for us a little bit, because we can do a lot with this. Okay, first things first. This is a C major 7. I'm going to talk about how to build them. I'm just showing you what they are right now so you know what's happening. This is a C dominant. Notice this says major 7. That just says C7. C7 as a chord symbol just means dominant. It means it has, at the very least, it has these 3 notes. Notice I took the G out, still says C7. If I took this out, it's telling us C7, no 3. But this could easily, this is implied as a dominant. But once I put this third in there, third here, this is a C7. If the third is minor, it's a minor 7. See that? So it's still a 7 chord. So we've got this one, major 7, dominant 7. We have minor 7. Now watch me do this. Now this says minor 7, flat 5. That's true because I was here, minor 7, then I flatted the 5. But a better way I like to look at this is half diminished. And there's, I'll deal with that a little bit later, but just know it's called both C minor 7, flat 5, and half diminished. Here's the fully diminished. See that? And then let's go back out here. That's our augmented chord. Remember, we can add the major 7 to it, and it's going to tell us sharp 5. But we can look at it as sharp 5 or augmented 7. Or we can use this 7th as well. So now we see C7, which implies the dominant, and the plus 5. Because remember, this by itself is the C7. So the 5th in that case would be optional. So it's seeing this as a dominant chord, but with a sharp 5. So we've got that. Now there's a couple of more. Oh, and then I think I did this one, and then I did that. Both diminished chords, half diminished, full diminished. But there's another couple of chords I want to hit. This one is a C major 6. Notice we have the C major, then we add a 6th. Now this isn't a 7th chord, but it can take the place of a 7th chord. That's a C major 6. So just like there's a C major 6, there's a C minor 6. But I want you to notice 2 things. The C major 6 is an inversion of A minor 7. See that? Look at this. C minor 6, by the same thought, is an inversion of, let me take the A out, put it at the bottom, an A minor 7 flat 5, or an A half diminished. So you can see this as an inversion. And this is why context is important. We're getting to it. We're talking about the chord types right now. Chord context is next. So we've got those 2. This one, this one. Here's another chord that we see not nearly as often, but it is worth mentioning. Okay. What do we have here? We have C minor. Instead of our C minor 7 as is, we have a C minor. Then we have a major 7. And that's what's tacked onto the end of the chord, as you can see in the chord box up there. So we have this. Now, let's jump right into some context. We have all those chords. Let me hit them. Let me try to hit them again. This, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7. Now let me go to half diminished 7. Fully diminished 7, right? Then I went to an augmented 7, and then dominant sharp 5, if I can say it that way. Both considered augmented chords though. And then I am going to hit these 2, the C major 6, the C minor 6. Then last but not least, the minor and major 7. Now, the same way I built all those chords on C, I can build all these same chords on every single note. So, chord context. And you know what? I'm going to flip them. Why chord books will mess up your thinking, because I want to establish some things. So here's the deal. When you're in the chord books, and just like I was saying, right, you're going to see a chord. Let's see, say you saw this chord, the minor major 7. It's going to tell you the chord, but you're usually going to see it in this inversion right here, just the root position, and it's going to tell you that that's the chord, right? But then you see something like this. This is the C minor, or sorry, that's the C minor major 7, How about F minor, major 7? It implies that this chord is different than this chord. No, these are the exact same chord, except they start on a different root note. Okay? So you would use these chords in the same way. It'll say, if it only gave you this chord, it would say 12 chords. Okay? No, this is one chord in 12 keys. I hope you understand the distinction. This is one chord. So once you learn one chord, okay, now learn all of them. Okay? How about minor, major 7 here? See that? Okay, so I know this one. I know this one. I'm choosing this one because it's purposefully dissonant, and we're not as familiar with it. See that? Learn this one. Here's the next one. Learn this one. Here we go. Here we go. Sorry, I'm on the wrong thing. There we go. That's the right one. Then we got this one, minor and then major. There we go. This one, minor, major. There we go. Minor, major. See that? Minor, major, minor, major. And then we're back. So that's 12 different keys of the same chord. Same like this. If I learn this chord, same thing, the triads. They're all the same chord. So chord books confuse you because they treat that as 12 chords instead of it being one chord. Here's the other thing. This right here, let me go back to this chord that I was using. This right here, see how it still says C minor, major 7? I'm playing the inversions. It would take this chord and not only call it 12 chords already because of the 12 different keys, but it is going to call it, this is one chord, this is a chord, this is a chord, this is a chord, and this is a chord. So now that one chord turns into 48. It doesn't need to be 48 chords. It's one chord in different inversions. If you know that this is the chord, it doesn't matter what the order is. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what the order is. It's still that same chord, and that's the way it's coming up. It's just showing you a different root. So it makes us think we have to learn more chords than we actually do. It also falsely gives us the impression, because it's just laying them out, we get this impression that we won't know how to use them because it doesn't really tell us how to use them. It just lays them all out. And it's like, here's a chord, snatch one out and it'll work. And that's not true. This is why we're getting to chord context, but I wanted to touch on this because you need to know that if you do have a chord book, if you learn one chord, learn the other keys of that same chord, and you have a whole usage of one chord type. If you learn this chord in all the keys, you have all the keys, but you have one chord that you can use. So we have that. Next, we need chord context. Let's go into chord context with this right now. I'm going back to the key of C really quickly because I need you to understand, and hopefully this will make sense. So I'm going to tie in building and using and chord context kind of all in the same type of thing. I'll probably be jumping back and forth, but chord context really is dealing with where you use the chords. If I want to use them, I've given you all the types. We just went through every single type. There's also inversions. I didn't touch them so much. In fact, before I even do that, let's hit the inversions. So here's this. This is one chord. Watch this. Still C major 7. See that? C major 7. Here we go with C dominant 7 or C7. And you can play these with one hand. I'm just playing them with two hands just to move through faster. Here's C minor 7. That's an inversion. First inversion, second, third. Now notice right here, it's showing us that major 6 chord, and we talked about that. That minor chord is the same as the major 6. E flat major 6. So we see that. But That was C minor 7. Now let's go to half diminished. We've got that, that, and that. And see, then we're back. So you've got that whole or fully diminished. It pretty much looks the same because it's a very symmetrical chord. Let me get my augmented chord in here. This one's gonna be weird. That one's really weird, but it's okay. It's okay. We can use these things. Here's the dominant chord with a sharp 5, and then see all of that. It's giving us these things. That was a major. Oh, the major minor 7. I think we dealt with that one. And then what am I doing? That one right there. There we go. Minor 7, minor major 7. Am I missing any? Did the augments? Oh, the minor. We did this one. This is the major 6. Major 6. Major 6. Now it says A minor, but this is an inversion of it. It just is. Now the minor 6. See that? And then A minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished. So we've got all of these chords. I hope I did not miss any. Major, dominant, minor, half diminished, fully. Then I did this one, then I did this one, and this one. There we go. I think I got them all. So those are all the chords. How do we build these things in a way that's not going to make sense? I've showed them to you 3 or 4 times. You're starting to get used to what these chords are. Now, how did I build them? Going back to the key of C, let's look at it. We're still getting to extensions, but you have to understand the foundation before you can get to the extension. Here we go. In the key of C, I just showed you these notes from C to C, okay? Doesn't matter which C I start on, whether it's here to here, here to here, here to here, you know. I'm just taking 1 octave, not 2 in this case. I'm taking 1 and using these notes. Now, it's just a repeated pattern. See that? So, what am I doing when I get a chord? How did I get all of these chords? Let's look at what we've got. When we're playing C, we said this was the basic foundation. Thirds are often the strongest interval that we have, and so you'll see your chord types based on thirds. This was a third. This is a major third from C to E. This is a minor third from E to G. Notice how it's telling me that. See that? C major third, E minor third. Watch this. C minor third, E flat major third. So each of these components are a third. Watch this. Minor third. Sorry. Minor third. So minor third, minor third. See that? Major third, major third. So our chords are built on that. Well, what did we do? When we had the 7th chord, we added another third. That's a major. Well, look from here to here. We did this. Major third, minor third, major third. So I'm moving in thirds. Watch this. That's the major third, minor third, minor third. See that? So still built on a third. Oh, watch this. Minor third, major third, minor third. Still built on thirds. Minor, minor, minor. But watch this. Minor, minor, major. See that? Then we had this. That was a major. That was a minor. If I did a major third from here, we only have a triad, right? But I did this one. And then this is not a third, okay? This part is the third, no third here. And the same with these 2 chords. No third between these 2, and no third between these 2. That's a second. That's a second. See that? So we have those interval spacings. How did we arrive at the interval spacings? We played a note, we skip this note. We played this note, we skipped this note, we played this note, we skipped this note, we played this note. Now using this idea, let me keep going. So we played, skip, play, skip, play, skip, play, skip, play. Notice we get right back to the C. So now we've taken up 2 full octaves. You can see C, E, G, B, D, F, A, and C. And if you notice, every single note, there's 7 notes here. Let me take the C off the top so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember, there's 7 notes in our key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So spaced out, we get every single note hit just going in thirds, but we keep going. This is where we're getting our extensions from, but it gets better than this. So check this out. Now listening to this chord or this, same difference, whether we're here or here, this sounds terrible. Why does this sound terrible? Because one of the reasons is because every single note is not a whole step apart. Some of them are half step apart, such as these two. Listen to that dissonance. And such as these two, that minor second. So we have both of those present. You hear this rubbing, you hear that. And they're wildly dissonant. How can we fix this chord? First things first, we can change this one note. Watch this. Now that sounds a little better. A little bit better. We took one of those dissonant notes out. But let me take the other one out. Or another one out. This one. Listen to how much better that sounds. Or I can do it the other way. And take this one out. See that? I can do that too. So, how are we getting our extensions? 1, 3, 5, and 7. And then watch what happens when I hit them individually. So I have my 7 here, right? Look at that. It says 9, major 9. That says sus major 7 because this, it's an 11 and it's showing you, this is showing you, this would show you an 11. I have more to show you about that, but it's showing it as a D minor, and I don't want you to see the D minor thought process quite yet, but no, this is an 11. Let's count just so you can confirm. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This would be 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's keep going. This is 12. We've already got this here, so no need to call it. 13. We got this, and then we don't need to call that because it's here. That's our 7, and then we're back. So the only extensions we have are 9, 11, and 13. Well, how do you know what goes where and when? It gets better. We've got a few more extensions and alternate spelling. I shouldn't say alternate spellings, but extensions and altered notes. That's what I want to say. Now, particularly right here, we have a C major 9. That means, what does that mean? That means we have the major 7, and then you just include a 9 in the chord. In order for you to see this as a 9, very important, it has to have a 7th in it. Or it has to have something beyond the 5. That's a better way to say it. It needs a 7, or, because watch this. This is going to give you a 6-9. It does not have the 7 present in the chord, but it's got something beyond the 5. It's got the 6. Okay? So that's still a 9. But if I played, look at that, C major add 2. It does not have a 6th or a 7th in the chord. So therefore, this is merely this. It doesn't matter that I play it up here. See that? Look at that. And I'm showing you the different places so it'll make perfect sense. This is an add 2 because this is not here or this is not here. You have to have something there to tell you you're going beyond the 5th. Okay? So that's our 9. We got the 9. Let me go to the 11th real quick. We said this was dissonant. But check this out, okay? If I go right here, what does that say? Sharp 11, right? And if I put the 9 back in, now it's got a major 9 and a sharp 11. See that? And that chord's not so bad. I can make this sound good in context. Okay, so that's my sharp 11. I have regular 11, but it's dissonant, so this is not something that I'm going to use like this. But check this out. How do I know this? First of all, because this is, I also have a C minor 9, C minor 7, C minor 9, C minor 11. I don't have to have the 9 in there. See that? But it's not dissonant because look at this. The distance from here to here is not dissonant. This is not. So now that 11 I can use in that. Would I use sharp 11? I could, but now that chord is dissonant because of that. See that? So we got 11 and sharp 11. Now let me go back to my 9 real quick as well. This is an 11. We also need, this is the C9, but watch this. C sharp 9. Why? Because here's the 9 and I'm sharping the 9. Okay, see that? Now, these are dissonant, but here's what's weird. This is considered the third because that is the third of the chord, but this would be the third if this was not here. See that? They're both here. This, using both thirds means you have a sharp 9 in the chord. Plain and simple. They're not as dissonant because both of them can have a usage. It sounds, it's more jazzy. See what I'm saying? I've still got that sharp 9. Oh, I can still do it like that. This is a dominant chord. So we've got that. Yeah. So that's a sharp 9. I can also do a flat 9. See that? Here's the 9, flat 9. You see that? This is also a dominant chord. Now, if I take my C away, watch this. It's a diminished chord, E diminished. I talked about a diminished, fully diminished. You've probably heard a diminished chord. So flat 9 chord looks dominant until you add the flat 9. Okay? So we've got sharp 9, flat 9 on dominant chords. If I had a dominant, I'm not so much. It can happen, but not so much. This would be, it's there, but you're not going to see it as often. Sharp 9, sharp 11. It's a dominant chord. We've got that. Notice how many of these are dominant chords, and that should give you a clue right there. But we've had the 9. So we have flat 9. Oh, let me put them all in. Flat 9, 9, sharp 9. Then we've got add 11, because this is here. Let me take that out. Sus4. Let me go ahead and make it minor so you can see the 11 straight away. But then going back here, making it a sharp 11. So a major chord uses a sharp 11. A minor chord more often uses the regular 11. No alterations. Now, let me keep going. The last one we need is, I'm going to stick with the dominant chord still. We have a 13, and it's telling us there's no 9. I can put the 9 in there. Now we have a 9, 13. See how you can mix and match these things? This has a major third, so I can use this if I'm trying to figure out which one to use. Nope. Look at that. Now, this is, it's calling it a B flat major. I don't like that because I'm still, that's my dominant. And I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it in a C major or C dominant context. Okay, we got that. Now, that's C dominant with a sharp 11 and then a 13. Now let me also lastly go here to the minor. That one's weird. This is a chord as well. Let me bring it down. You would see this. This is a dominant chord as well. Notice it says C7, sharp 9 is what I'm putting in, and then flat 13. So we've got major 13. There we go. Now it's giving it to me. If I take the 5 out, That's the chord I'm looking for when I was playing that. C9, 13, sharp 11. So this is sharp 9 and sharp 5. Here's the sharp 9. We're either calling this a sharp 5 or flat 13th. If I put, how can I make this say, that's a regular 13. I wanted to give me a flat 13. Oh, trying to, that's weird. There is a such thing as flat 9. I mean flat 13. I'm just trying to think of the best place to. I'm still seeing this as an A flat, which is, it's not completely wrong, but that's not the context of how I want to use this. Flat 13. You can also see this as a flat 6. Why am I seeing as a flat 5? Oh, A flat, flat 5. It's considering this the root and this the flat 5. This is a 13. Okay, it'll give it to me like that. I was trying to pull up something, anything that gave me a flat 13. This is giving us the flat 13 kind of feel. It's telling us to sus4. And then we would not have a sharp 13. So again, flat 9, flat 9, 9, sharp 9. Then we've got, let's go to minor for the 11, major for dominant for the sharp 11, and then we had, oh, what did I have? There we go. Flat 9 or sus4, then flat 13 with a 9 in it, and then we've got a 13 with a sus still being in the 4. The whole thing is seen as a sus chord, but it's also a 13. We can see that as a 13 as well. C minor 13, see that? C major 13, 9 13. So we've got all these chords. We've gone through half an hour. We've discussed the chord types. We've shown them in their inversions. We've talked about why chord books mess up how you approach it. Every single one of those chords I just did can be done in the other keys. Now we dealt with how to build them, play, skip, play, and we can see how they're forming, what's not good to add, what's good to add with each of those voicings. We can still put inversions on those things, okay? Now, how do we use them? We done got to the moment of truth. Let's deal with them. There's only 3 chord functions, and I've talked about this in another video. It's the 3 chord types to know, or you'll always be confused, and that deals with chord function. But quickly here, you can go watch that video for more information. But quickly here, you have a tonic, you have a subdominant, and you have a dominant. All 3 of those chord types or chord functions, are important, and they help us understand where we use chords when we're using them. So in the context of these chords, how to use them, if I'm using an extension, let me play a song. We know this. I'm playing it through. How great, right? And I added a little bit extra in there, but we've got it. How great, right? So let me talk about, there was only 4 chords in there. This is a major chord, and I'm in the key of C. If you need the numbers, that was 1, 6, 4, 5, and 1. We could do that in another key. 1, 6, 4, 5, 1. We've got it. Right. I used no chord extensions in that yet. Now let me go back to C so you can see what I'm doing. I showed it to you in a very basic form. You could do the same thing on the guitar, probably with a little bit more rhythm motion. But here we go on piano. Notice, oh, I added in 2 because I don't have a 7th, but watch. Right? So what did I do? I added my 7th in, and it had a 9 because I already have this in there. We talked about what could go with the major 7. We said the 9. This probably not so much, right? Now chord function wise, let's check this out. This is a tonic chord. This happens to be a tonic chord as well. You can again watch that other video for more on tonic, what, why, and all those things. But I'm just giving you the names here. This is subdominant, and then this is dominant, and then this is back to tonic. Now, what you need to know, it'll be further explained in the other video, but what you need to know of utmost importance is a dominant chord is the most unstable, and a tonic chord is the most stable. Subdominant is kind of in between its stability points, but unstable means it has to resolve somewhere. So because of its unstable nature, it is one of the best places to use a lot of extensions. Even if you did this, watch me play this straight. Again, I'm just going to play the chords, play faster. I just have 7ths in here. And then watch this. Added this in here. See that flat 9? And notice where I'm putting it, right in the middle of the chord. Everything else is diatonic. Right? Now, if you're just looking at chord book, you're going to be like, how did I know to use that? Well, first of all, it's a dominant chord. Okay? I didn't have to use just that one. Watch this. Look at this one. This one uses a 9. The 9 is, and here is where context is important. I said G minor or G9. It's got the 13 and the sharp 11. Well, notice the only note that's not in the key is this one. And this happens to be our sharp 11, okay? This is the 3rd, so this is the 1 of the chord, the 7 of the chord, the 3rd of the chord. Here's our sharp 11, here's our 13, and here's our 9 on the top. So notice how I'm using that just really quickly to get where I'm going. So whether I use this and this one stabilized it. Notice I'm using diatonic notes to stabilize altered tones that are in the chord. So when this one here, this is diatonic to the key of C. That's what I'm talking about. Even though the chord itself is altered, this is tucked in the middle. It stands out a little bit more here because I haven't got as much in it. Little less so. And then this is gonna resolve here. And notice this is resolving here. So we have this kind of resolution happening in our playing. And this as well, right? Because I was playing that, and then that goes there, resolves there. So when I'm playing this is a highly unstable chord, and it's screaming, go here. And then we go there, in whatever form you go there. Okay, so that's why we can use this altered chord when we're here. Using this chord, this is resolving here, this stays, this resolves here, and this also results here. Or I can play with it. Right? So you can play with it like that. Let's get another dominant one in there. How about oh, this is a good one. This is a simple one. See that? It's calling it a G9 sus. I don't want to call it a sus as much as an 11, G9 or G11 chord. But again, it's because this is implied, okay? This is implied, but it's not played. So we can still resolve there. See that? It is functioning as, I just want you to see these things. This sus4 is functioning very similar to an 11. You need to know what's there. You see that? So we've got that. We've got that going back to the C. So that was 3 types of dominant chords right there. Let me grab one of those special chords that we talked about. We talked about this one, major 9 sharp 11. How would we use that? I just used some dominant chords there to get me to the C. I'm going to switch gears here just a second and branch outside of that mold so you can see what we can do. We can also use these types of ideas to expand upon a song. So I showed you that song in a very simple form. Let me before I even branch out of into this chord, I want to give you. You know what? I'm going to stay on the chord because I want you to see the chord types, and then I'll branch the song out further. But this is, watch this. Now, what did I do? Real simple, just I was in the key of G. Same thing, number system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Notice how in the key of G, this note, even though it's altered for the chord C, it's a major 7 chord. Notice, got my major 7, got a 9, sharp 11. This note is diatonic to the key of G. It's the only sharp that's in G. So using that chord in this key leads me perfectly to a G major chord. Or, see what I'm saying? Use this, even though it's not even dominant in that sense, to lead me to a G, because this is the leading tone. So using your altered notes with purpose can really give you extra flavor. Using that same 9, using the 9, 13, let me see. See what I'm saying? So that was me using all 3 of them. That song could go on for a while. We could use this, or you know what I'm saying? Either or. So those are some considerations using that. And I'm just showing you how you can get from one transitional note to another. If I was on something like, if I wanted to use this, snatching this chord out. This is the augmented with the 7, or so the major 7th chord, but it has a sharp 5. I'm preferring to call it augmented because that's what the root of the chord is. Augmented 7 is what I'm calling this, okay? let me look at it real quick. Now, because we're seeing this as a major 7 and a sharp 5, we can look at how it's really going to, let's use it like this. Oh, sorry. So this is me adding on in a different way. See that? Now, here's what's interesting about this chord. It sounds very funky just by itself, but when I used it in that context, it worked. Why did it work? That's the next section I'm trying to get to, which is talking about other key considerations. But let's suffice it to say for the moment that this note here, leading tone, leading us here, and that's where I went. So let me do that part again. Right, I went to the A. Now, we had that. How about something wild like this? This is the minor major 7. I'm adding the 9 to it as well, in the same way. Now this one sounds wild, and it's like, where can you use this? Well, we can use this in the sense of, and again, cannot stress enough, you can use it in this key like this, you can use it in another key, or in the same context as the way that I'm using this. I haven't got to the keys yet. I can use this something else to get me to, this is very dissonant as well. Okay, we're using it in a way because it's a minor chord. Minor chords lead to 1 chords. Minor chords lead us to 5 chords. Can I lead that to a 5? If I was going to lead that to a 5, I would. I don't know if I would lead this to a 5 because I'm feeling drawn to go here. See that? Incidentally, this is a chord that's completely out of the key, but I don't want to touch it just yet as far as what I'm dealing with. Let's deal with the C major 6 a little bit. So we have all these thoughts in our mind. If we were on a major 6 chord, I would use that very similarly to how I use the major 7. So places I can use the major 7, I can use the major 6. And I did it earlier anyway. Notice I'm there. I could stay on the major 7. Watch. See, I can just oscillate between the two of those, or I can use that to go further. Just to, instead of staying on that major 7, I'm using something else to play off of it. Minor 6, same type of thing. Places I would use a minor chord. So if I'm in the key of G and then I go to this minor chord, remember I was using this just a second ago to feed to this same exact minor chord. So in the key of, G, right? Something else we can do, just to give us a little extra color, introducing notes that are outside of the key to help us harmonize what we're doing. So now that we've covered even more, we've gotten some of these transitions out of the way, let's deal with where you can naturally use these things in the right spaces, because you've already got some ways to consider some extensions and things like that. So if I see this chord, major 7, I know I'm in the key of C. Number 1, this is a major chord, especially if this is my 1 chord. But check this out. I didn't talk too much about this in the context of the key of C. You know why? Because this chord is not in the key of C. How do we know? This note is completely missing, right? Where's that note at? Let's look at it. See that? note is in the key of F. It happens to be the only note that B flat is in the key, or the only flat that's in that key. So let's look at the chords of B or F major. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lo and behold, I'm on the C chord, and it's not a C major 7. We're on the 5 chord, and it's a dominant chord. That's exactly what we expect, because we already said, using the number system, that our 5 chord is dominant. A 5 chord is dominant. Even in classical 18th century theory, if you're in a minor key, the 5 chord is dominant. The reason it's dominant is because it wants to have that note pull here, but it also wants this note to pull here. So if I'm playing this note pulls here, this note pulls here, right? We hear that kind of thing in classical music, right? All the time. So if I'm in the key of C, now this is going to be, way out as far as musical understanding, but it has to be talked about in the context of extensions, because you're using these things with purpose. It just doesn't show up out of the wazoo. It has a reason. So let me go back to our song in C. Now I said this chord came from F. Watch this. Watch me use it in C. Right? We've done this. Well, let me do more with it. So I'm expanding the song here. Right. So I used both of my G chords that we already talked about. Obviously there's more, but that's what I wanted to get at. Now, if you saw me slip this in, how did I slip it in? I think I used it like this, something like this. Now, I said this chord belongs in F major. And guess what I did? Because this chord belongs in F major, we proved it already. There it is, F major. We proved it's not in C. But how did I just use it in C? Our ear does something fantastic where it will hear. I think it subconsciously hears better than we understand it can hear. And so the ultimate goal of music is to make the best transitions, the best, I don't just want to say transitions, but the most diatonic movements that we can in a series, and that's pleasing to the ear. So what I did was use the knowledge of the fact that I know all of my keys, and let me say, don't just use, or don't just learn one key. Don't just rely on what's on the paper, because you can make your sheet music, your chord chart. If you understand harmony, you can make movements that don't have to sound extra jazzy, that don't have to sound way outside of the key. Just subtle things that can bring some extra expression, bring extra emotion to a moment, to a song, all those things. If you weren't paying attention, you missed this. So I did this. Here it is. I did something like that. So So what did I do? Really simply, because I know that I'm getting ready to go to that 4 chord, because I know specifically that I'm getting ready to go to that F chord, I took what normally resolves to F and resolved it to F. Lo and behold, that happens to include a B flat. Our ear, because we hit this next, said, "Oh, that was so right. I understood that, even though I have no idea what just happened. This makes sense. This sounds like it wants to pull right here," and that's exactly where it went. I could do the same thing and go here. We've talked about, or we haven't talked about it, but perfect authentic cadences. If you know anything again about your classical theory and harmony, perfect authentic cadence is a 5 to a 1 in the Roman numerals, or deceptive cadence is a 5 to a 6. So I could take that same move, and it's still going to give me the pleasing sound that my ear's like, okay, that makes sense. I get it. It was a very strong transition. Now, here's the deal. Watch this. If I do this, notice how I did this? Now, that's diatonically correct. But this B is just screaming like, okay, what's getting ready to happen? And then we went here. That B doesn't move as well here as this does in the context. And so our ear is hearing those subdivisions of the keys. Do I have to just use that there? I could use, and I did it with root. I did it with first inversion. I could even second inversion, you know, all these things. It does not matter which inversion you're going to, or sorry, that was not right. I'm going from here. Something like that. I'm just creating. This is still that C major, even though I don't have the note in the chord. Even though it's seeing this as the root, I'm not thinking of it as the root. I'm using all the notes. See that? That way it's telling me. See? Same difference. So I'm creating these things based on the notes in the chords, but I know where I'm going. That is an important feature of how we're using our extensions. If you know where you're going to go, let me use one I haven't used. Let's see. Didn't even talk about it. Let's see if we can snatch it out and stick it in. Let's see. I don't know if I want to use it. Okay, yeah, I can use it there. See, that was pretty intense on the 5, but I've got, this is a sharp, how do I want to say this? It's giving me a D flat over a G, which it is, but more, this is a dominant chord. There's my dominant note, there's my flat 9. Well, maybe if I put this in here. There we go. It's giving me everything now. It's got my flat 5. These are my flat 5s. Third or seventh, and then flat 9. So just threw that in there. How did I know even to think about it? Because I was seeing this as a target note and this as leading to my target note. And sure enough, or that's what I really did. But all this is happening over a G, okay? So, and we're looking at that in the inner voice, okay? All this still a dominant chord. Dominant chords are a perfect place to use a lot of extensions. Now, you don't necessarily just have to wait till the dominant chord. If you're using chords that lead to the dominant chord, or lead to the dominant chord, that's okay too. Let me do the same thing that we just did and add on to that a little bit further. Ending here in a little bit. That is what I want to get. What did I do? Now, sticking with the fact that this is the 5 in F, I just added the 2 in F. It requires the exact same B flat. So now 2, 5, 1. That was temporarily on my 1 chord, but now I'm solidly back in the key of C. Still used an alteration in the scheme of things. It's an alteration or an extension. I'm combining this with that thought process because we need to be able to see overall the chord. This chord overall is a G minor 7, but it does not have any extensions per se. But because this note is not in the key, I'm pointing this out because I don't want chords that pop up that are not in the key to not be understood. I can go further with an extension with that chord. So that was raw. Now watch me go further with it. Oh, so watch this. See what I'm saying? So we have both of those as choices. Sorry, this is what I needed first. Then here we go. Or there. I'm still back in C. Now, what did I do? That time I added the 9. That's an extension of this chord. So I don't just have to stay with the chords in my key to use an extension. I need to understand what the extensions are for the chord that I'm on. In this case, I'm on a G minor. I can use a G minor 7. I can use a G minor 11. Probably can use a G minor, or this is the 9. Yes, I can use the 11 as well. So, here we go with the 11. And then watch me change this one. There I'm adding another alteration. See that? On my dominant chord. So I went. So I did all that in the key of C, but I'm just showing you I can make it basic, hitting notes that aren't in the key. I can use extensions using notes that are in the key, but they are extensions to the chord that I'm on. So this is why I had to talk about both of those things in context. Now, really quickly, just let's touch if you have a bass player. If you have a bass player and they're playing these bass notes, especially for your dominant chord, you don't need the bass note. Notice I can go right here to that same F chord. Going to the 4 is easy. The bass player, he's down here somewhere. See what I'm saying? I don't even have to play the C to the F like he's doing. I can hit something like that. And because I'm up here, I don't need an octave, right? Because he's doing something like that, I don't have to hit that. I can be up here, nice and subtle, and playing in a range that's not stepping on the bass player's toe. I'm getting rid of my octaves so I can make my music much more pleasing. This took a little time to explain all this, but if you want more information, definitely email me, definitely reach out. I have courses available that actually go in depth and going out of the key, talk about extensions pretty much in a more in-depth way. If you're interested in some of that, let me know. Tell me in the comments. Email me. Whatever works best for you. But I hope this gives you a solid understanding of how to begin using extensions in your music. I've already taken an hour. Don't want to take much more time than that. You guys take care and be blessed.